And hello and welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack.
And I'm Rich Baxter.
And Rich, let's see, where are you? There you are.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Rich, the schedules are out. Before we did a show a couple of days ago and we didn't have a schedule to go by. Now we have the schedules out, and what say you about that?
Yeah, schedule released on Monday, July 6th, right after we did our Sunday show. So we thought we'd get a quick, fresh podcast out for our listeners discussing the baseball schedule for 2020, quick 60-game season, and that's what struck me so oddly about the season, how fast this is going to play out.
It certainly is. It's going to go quickly. They've got it compacted into essentially almost 2 months, maybe a little bit longer. July, I think they're ending in it September 26th, roughly, or something along that line. So it is going to be in 2 months, and not a lot of days off. You're playing 60 games in 60 days or 62 days or whatever they figured on. But if they get to play, I'm still not sold that they're going to play. Rich, 3 camps have closed over the weekend for because they did not, or beginning of the week, because they did not get test results back. MS was all part of it. MLB said that they had hooked up with a lab. The lab is blaming it on the July 4th weekend, but come on. If you've got a big league contract with the Major League Baseball, you better honor that. You better have people working in that lab. You better have a full lab. So it's not falling, processing of these tests are falling behind because, now we've got almost like a mini shutdown again. And more players, getting sick. Joey Gallo, the latest, more players opting out. Dave Price, is opting out. So, I don't know, but as you said, schedules are out there, and I know my Mets get off to a rugged start with the Braves and the Red Sox, and then the Braves again, and then the Nationals. So, I don't know. How did the Phillies get off?
The Phillies, believe it or not, have a pretty tough schedule. They have 38 games comparable with 2019 against winning teams out of the 60, and 20 of those games will be on the road. So they lead right off against the Marlins, but then they have like 5 games against the Yankees straight off. I'm talking the first week. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do. The Sports Illustrated had a story that they ran about who's likely to have a good start or vice versa. And one of the teams that they picked is the Cincinnati Reds to have a good start. They play 14 of their first 25 games against the Tigers, Royals, and Pirates. So a lot of these teams, including the Texas Rangers, they're playing 17 of the first 22 against losing teams from last year. And those teams in danger of having a slow start, the Boston Red Sox playing 13 of their 23 against the Rays and the Yankees. And we were talking a little bit before we started the podcast, Gary. I saw a neat schematic drawing of how the travel is going to work out with each team. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it for our video portion of this podcast, but it certainly highlighted, 3 different regions of the country, obviously the East, the Midwest, and then the West. So looking at those schematics, you got a great idea of just how tight these leagues are formed. They're within, very much within their own geographic jurisdiction, so to speak. Our teams in the NL East, our favorite teams, playing essentially a lot of games against other teams in the division, the Nationals, the Marlins, teams that are easy to reach. Phillies and the Mets obviously going to be playing one another, and the AL teams are teams that are easy to reach as well. For the Mets and the the Mets and the Phillies, rather, it'll be the Yankees, Toronto, Baltimore, teams like that. So I'm still on the fence about this season. I'm not a big fan of the schedule. I don't think it's indicative of a regular season by any means. You're not going to the West Coast, and I understand why they're not doing it, but you're essentially staying in your regional area, and to expect a positive result from 60 games, I just don't see how you can do it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a tough one to call because I don't know whether people are gonna legitimize it. I've been calling it an exhibition season. I guess that's not fair. If somebody wins, well, somebody's gonna win. But I mean, is it gonna be a legitimate World Championship or World Series win, or is it just, is it going to have an asterisk? It's going to have an asterisk that says 60 game season or whatever. But I don't know. And the problem with a season like this is if you get off to you lose 5 games in a row, you're virtually out of it. I mean, it's not like in a 162 game season, you can lose 5-6 games in a row and still be in a race. You have plenty of time to make it up. This is going to be a sprint, and if you can get out quick and build some sort of lead, you may be able to hang on and take this. And I don't know. There's so many question marks now with these players opting out and all of that kind of stuff, and players getting sick. You don't know whether to call it legitimate or what. They're going to legitimize it every way, which way they can. Baseball's going to, they're going to hand out those trophies at the end for the division and for the league championships and the pennants, and they have the right to do that. But in the fans' mind, is it going to be a legitimate champion? I guess if you win, you're going to count it legitimately. And everybody else will have the doubts. But I don't know. I just think it's a mistake.
Yeah, and as a lot of baseball fans were saying that, they're so happy the game's going to be back, it just doesn't really matter what they see. But I think in the end, like you said, it does matter. It's going to be a question of a foot race. 60 game season is really not much in the length of a baseball season at all. And if you glance at your schedule on a PDF like they have up for all the teams, you can see how easily a team can, as you said, fall out of the race. It could be a quick end. Of course, the teams aren't worried about fans going to the stadium either. There's not going to be any fans going to the stadium. So definitely going to be an exercise in a different season, obviously, for 2020. But what did you think of the fanfare in which the MLB announced this season on MLB Network?
Well, I just think it was a bit much, I mean, based on the fact that it is a 60 game season, based on all the negotiations, based on the fact that, look, I still I'll believe it when they throw the first pitch. Let's put it that way. As I said before, with these testing now problems, with players opting out, I just thought I would have just released the schedule quietly and say, here's the schedule. I understand they're trying to cash in on everybody, wanting to see baseball and everything, but I just think it was a bit much.
Yeah, over the top for no reason. They could have done things like this for other times, and they never did. But like you said, yeah, this was nothing to brag about. Trump up like an announcement of the circus coming to town. Yeah. But that's essentially what it may turn out to be. Now, back to that Sports Illustrated article, they say down the stretch, the easiest path and a team has is the New York Yankees. They're playing 20 of their final 23 games against the Blue Jays, Orioles, and Marlins. So you got three teams that lost 95 games last year, and here the Yankees are playing 20 of their last 23 games against these teams. Now, that sounds like a stacked deck to me a little bit. Your favorite team, the New York Mets, arguably has the toughest path down the stretch. They're playing their final 10 games against three playoff teams from 2019, 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Rays, and 4 games against the Nationals. So you've got an uneven schedule here, and it was made primarily because they had to stay in their regional areas. So what can you derive of that? Does every team have a fair shot at this, or the deck is definitely stacked against certain teams?
It certainly seems that way. I don't know. If you say anything, then it's either sour grapes or whatever. It does seem, though they stacked it a little bit in the Yankees' favor. Of course, they want to get the Yankees in the postseason. They want to get them into the World Series because it's bigger numbers and all of that crap. So, can you tell me by that article, is it saying anything about the Dodgers' schedule?
The Dodgers' schedule, yes, it does mention the Dodgers here. Out in the West here, well, it's saying best matchups, Dodgers and Angels, will take place August 14th through the 16th. As far as them finishing, it says Dodgers and Giants are going to have a rivalry, but they don't play each other. They play 10 times in the first 33 games. Then they play each other in September. So a battle with the Dodgers and the Giants early on, obviously. And there are 2 other teams that are geographically close, sort of like the Phillies and the Mets, the Yankees and the Phillies. How can the Phillies open the season up with 5 games against the Yankees in the first 10 days of the season? It's amazing.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I bet the Dodgers' schedule isn't that difficult either, because they want the Dodgers and the Yankees to play. That's their idea. World Series, I guess, because it's got both coasts involved and big markets. So it's probably, I'm trying to look up and see, but I can't really get a
While you look that up, I'll show our listeners. I finally found that nice little graphic that I was looking at during the week here, tweeted out by a guy named Darren Willman. Here, he made a travel schedule, and you can see on the far right here on the East Coast is where the East Coast teams will be playing one another. And then you move into the center of the country here around the Chicago area, the Midwest, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. Those teams are going to be getting together, Minnesota. And then you move out west here. Arguably, they have like the greatest distances to travel because you have Seattle up here. You have San Francisco. Then you have down the coast, the Dodgers, Angels, out to Arizona, and then Colorado. And they're incorporating Texas into the Western League as well. So pretty cool graphic there. I like the way that breaks that up.
It really gives you an idea.
Yeah, those being in the Midwest, of course, have the shortest traveling distances amongst teams. And, you know, through further west of that, of course, is the Rocky Mountains and some wide open plains. There are no teams in this Montana area, Utah, that sort of thing. So, you know, there's a good indication of what you'll see with the traveling for the 2020 season.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's when you see it that way, it really gives you a good picture.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was trying to save it for the show, and by a stroke of luck, I was able to, because I retweeted it from my account at fightinphillies.com. By the way, you can follow us on Twitter. My handle there is at fightinphillies. We have a at baseball talk show as well. And Gary is at Mets Musings. So you can follow us there during the week. If you're not familiar with our individual blogs, Gary has metsmusings.com, which is a great audio blog on the Mets. He does his podcasts every week faithfully, and mine is over at fightinphillies.com, where I also have a podcast called Phillies Talk. We're ramping it up. We've been about one a month for the past several months, but we're going to go probably into like 3 times a month now. That's the schedule, maybe even 4 every week.
Yeah. If they're gonna play, you gotta ramp it up, get it in there, you know.
Yeah.
It's tough, but sometimes you gotta do it. You gotta work on getting those guests in, and you know, getting the pertinent information out there. So, you know, it's funny. I tried to get ahead this year in like April or actually before that, February or March. I laid out the whole Mets season and laid out when my show would be to try to see about getting guests on, you know, from other podcasts from across the country for teams that were coming in. And of course, that's all out the window now.
And don't forget, if you like podcasts, you obviously do. You're listening to our show or watching it on YouTube. Check out the Baseball Talk at baseballtalkradio.com. There's roughly 30 to 40 podcasts there talking baseball. There's a 24-hour radio feed that I try to keep updated on a weekly basis when I can. So tune into that. It also streams via TuneIn.com. That's a 24-hour feed there. So if you find yourself in a need to listen to baseball and don't have the Sirius XM package talking baseball, you can always tune into the channel there at baseballtalkradio.com.
And can I give a shout out to our good friends at Baseball and Barbecue? They do a terrific podcast where they talk about baseball and they talk about barbecue. So if you're into both in this summer season, take a listen to them, Jeff and Len over at Baseball and Barbecue.
Very good. And you always get my mouth watering when you say barbecue. Over the weekend, I did some chicken. And, of course, when I bring it in where I work, you know, I had to put it in the microwave. And, of course, it emits these wonderful smells. And everybody turns around.
Everybody's looking.
Where's that coming from? So, yeah, check them out. Baseball and Barbecue, the podcast. The season, as we know, is kicking off July 23rd. The Yankees and the Nationals will take the first game at 7:08 p.m. The Giants and the Dodgers out on the West Coast taking the first game for that section of the country at 10:08 Eastern Time p.m. It's going to be good. Then the rest of the teams follow in the next day on the 24th. Going to be good to see baseball back, and it's certainly going to be. I want to tune in just to see what it's going to be like with no people in the stands. Are they going to have field mics so we can hear the players cursing as we know they do? They're going to have to watch their P's and Q's if they have the field mics.
Yeah, I guess that will be curiosity. Will be piqued to see that. Now, I haven't read. Have they discussed at all the possibility of somewhere along the line having fans at the games? I mean, I know at one point they were talking about allowing like 10,000 people in, social distancing, the whole 9 yards. Have you heard anything further along those lines?
I haven't heard a thing about having any fans in. Supply would definitely be shorter than demand, I'm sure. But, even with teams working out at home, I thought it would have been a great idea to maybe have a donation thing. Give them $10 to go down to the ballpark, watch the workout from 11 to 2 or whatever they're working out, 11 to 3. Donate it to charity or something. Bring a charity into a homeless shelter or something like that. You might get a few thousand people, scatter them around the ballpark, a donation. But, it's kind of late for that, for an idea. But maybe the MLB doesn't want people close to the players because they feel like they may incorporate the virus closer to the players. Right. That's probably what their feeling is.
And they could be worried about liability if somebody gets it at the ballpark. I don't know, but it's. I know I've also seen on social media. I don't know if you've seen this, where some people are complaining that there are night games, and they don't think it makes any sense. And I'm thinking, well, it makes perfect sense to me. Because they want the ratings. They want people to watch. If people are working, people are going back to work. If you had a season of day games, it would cut into their ratings completely. So they'd rather have the night games, I would think. And plus the weather's warmer, so it's not like you're going and gonna, like I've been to night games in April. And you freeze your butt. I've been in May, you freeze your butt off, too. This is July, so it's just a regular July night game. But I was a little surprised at that to see people complaining about that. But look, it's the perfect setup. Like you said, they're going to have the Dodgers and Giants on ESPN, I guess it is, to open up the season on opening night. And I believe the Mets are playing at 4:10 or something. So they're doing it for a double or a triple header, whatever they're going to try to do. That's why you're going to see night games. And it's all about the Benjamins, let's be honest. I mean, it's ratings and it's money.
Yeah. A couple of games ESPN has circled, and this is from ESPN.com, of course. The Nationals and the Yankees, July 23rd through the 26th. That opens up the season. Dodgers and the Houston Astros, July 28th and 29th. There will be Sunday night baseball. Schedule was released. The first game is Gary, your Mets taking on the Braves. Braves at the Mets on July 26th. Woo-hoo. And there's actually 2 games that night. Later on in that Sunday night will be the Giants and the Dodgers. So the following week, of course, we had to put up with the Red Sox and the Yankees, of course.
Well, that's the night you find something different to do.
And then for you Phillies and Braves fans, look ahead to August 23rd and August 30th on ESPN. There'll be a home and home series each Sunday. Phillies at the Braves on the 23rd, and then the Braves at the Phillies on the 30th. And what else do they have here? They have the Oakland Athletics and the Houston Astros circled August 7th through the 9th. They think that's going to be a good series. Chicago White Sox and the Cubs, August 21st to 23rd. Twins and Indians, August 24th through the 26th. And so on down the line here. They have a lot of games circled.
Well, there's going to be a lot of games to get in, right? So, that's why they're doing that.
Yes, indeed. So we thought we'd bring this special edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show to you while this news is still fresh. What do you think about the schedule? Send us an email. You can send one to Gary at baseballtalkradio.com. You can email me as well on it, rich@baseballtalkradio.com. Or you could go podcast at baseballtalkradio.com. And we'll be glad to answer any questions or talk about your take on the season. And if you listen to the show, like I was saying a few shows ago, send us an email, drop us a line, let us know that you're out there, you're listening. It spurs us on, gives us a little extra oomph to take into the next show.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can go to anchor.fm/baseballtalkradio. And you can support us right there. There's a little button that gives you support, and it gives you a choice of how much you'd like to donate. And it's right there on the website. Or you go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Baseball Talk Radio Show, and leave a little donation there too. So anything you help will help us improve the show and move it forward.
Right. And that is, let me just say that's patreon.com/baseball talk is the way you reach us there on Patreon.
I'm going to write
and
that
again,
down.
if you have a problem getting a hold of one of our sites, drop us an email. Probably the best way to get to us, and we'll be glad to answer you personally and get you over to the right spot.
Yes, indeed. And like I said, anything you could do would be very helpful to us to increase our technology here so we can bring you better product. Maybe if we get out to the games, they'll let us, we can get on the road and do some interviews or something. But we're working on a couple now, and we'll see what happens with them. But yeah.
Very cool. So as you said, Gary, 15 days remains to the start of the season. We both want to see it start. A couple more guys opting out or on the fence, as Gary said, but we'll see. Even Mike Trout himself doubts about the 2020 season. So
he hasn't made a decision yet, huh?
Looks like not, but he's, his story about having a doubt about whether the season will be able to finish is first and foremost their editor pick on ESPN.com. So we'll see. They're trying to make him the guy in baseball, the poster child, so to speak, of baseball. So he might have a bigger voice than people think. Well,
again, I guess I'll have to say that I'll believe it when the first pitch is thrown, because it's I don't know, still some doubt.
Yep. And on better news, before we close it out real quick here, Aaron Nola apparently does not have the coronavirus and did not have it, but he was exposed to it, apparently, is what the word is. he was delayed into the Phillies summer camp by 8-9 days. So he's back in camp apparently now and okay. So
that's good.
He was quarantining apparently, and speculation was he might have had it, but apparently he did not.
Okay, so that's good.
Well, thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. We hope you liked this special schedule edition for 2020, and it's our little special that we had on it anyway, Gary.
Yep. And Rich, we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks, right?
Yes, indeed. You have a great week, and we'll talk to our listeners again.
Take care.